Wandavision, episode 8. There are complete spoilers for this episode. We are one more episode before that finale, so let's talk about Wandavision. Yeah, this episode, wow. I didn't think they were gonna actually answer why sitcoms, why is any of this happening. Like, I knew they were gonna answer why this is happening, right? But I didn't expect the way they're gonna handle it, and I didn't expect them to actually answer the why sitcom things. But no, they answered it in a way that made sense, and it was perfect. So in this episode, after the twist that it's revealed, Agnes was messing with everything the whole time. Basically, Agnes wants to figure out what the hell is going on with her. Why is she doing this? Why is Wanda doing this? Where's all of her power coming? She was a witch that was supposed to be killed during the Salem witch trials, but apparently has been around the Marvel universe this entire time, which is interesting to me. Because, was she affected by Thanos? Was she affected by any of these events that happened in the MCU? Doesn't seem like it, but, she's here. And, so Wanda's refusing to tell how she did all this because after seeing this episode, I think it's clear that Wanda doesn't know how she's doing this. Like, it's happening, but she's not sure how she made it happen. And you see her in this episode. She's basically, Agnes takes her through all of her trauma, and yeah, I kind of wish they had made this episode like a little extra over an hour, so we could see those scenes where she was inside of the scenes of WandaVision, right? Or just done another episode where she's inside of those. Because my thing about it is I don't fully understand what she was doing inside those scenes. She claimed she killed Sparky, but why though? Why did you kill Sparky, right? She claimed I get why she brought in Quicksilver, right? Quicksilver was to find out what she's up to, right? But the rest of it I don't understand. Why did she manipulate Herb? What is all of this, right? Because all those things she's just kind of there to find out what she's trying to find out details about stuff, but how does that help you do that? I don't understand. So I think they needed an episode to explain it, but I think the real reason is the writers don't have a reason for her to be doing all that stuff except, hey, it's more hints to what's going on and make people speculate that she's a villain. But I think they made it too obvious that she was the villain because people were already predicting it for quite a while. And also her name being Agnes when her real name, comic name, and character name is Agna Harkness, which I would not have named her that, But whatever. But this is still a very good episode because it fixes a lot of my problems I was previously having for these episodes. So we have Wanda, and Agnes takes her through her trauma. So we first see her as a kid, and her parents watch sitcoms together. That's what they enjoyed. She watched the Dick Van Dyke Show, which people have pointed out that the first two episodes are very I Love Lucy and very Dick Van Dyke Show, and kind of, especially the Dick Van Dyke Show, which, yeah, it is very influenced by that because Wanda was influenced by that, and it makes sense now, right? Why is this a sitcom? Now, I don't think it completely makes sense because, there was 2 episodes ago, or was it last episode? No, it was last episode ago. It was The Office, Modern Family, and the episode by that was Malcolm in the Middle. If she's aware of Dick Van Dyke Show, does that mean she's into ooh, I'm into Malcolm in the Middle? I don't think that equates, but you know what? I'll bypass it because they explained this well enough. Well enough, that is. So Um, but I think the next part we see is, her family blowing up, which we've always heard about that, but we don't really know how it affected her. We see all these events now, which before in the MCU we kind of just like, oh, they affected her, and it's like cool, but like we don't see that. We don't see Wanda, because she's just kind of a background character that's kind of dealing with some stuff in the background. It's not really spotlight. Well, now it is spotlighted, and you understand, and it makes me like Wanda more. Like she's more of a tragic character trying to come to grips with all the horrible crap that's happened to her. She's had horrible crap and trauma since she was a child, and that's like the whole story of Wanda as a character. And that's interesting. And it's also like she could be a strong female character because she kind of like, it's her now growing to and coming to grasp with what's happened to her and becoming a stronger, better individual because of what's happened to her. And I think that's a great story to do with these characters. With this character, I really enjoyed this angle they're tackling it with. But next we see, a family blowing up. And she's like, yeah, me and Pedro were stuck under this building for 2 days. No way out. We were trapped, and then they got out. And that's just like, wow. And then it just keeps going, and there's just more and more stories that keep happening here. The next part we see is her being tested, and and it's interesting. Hydra doesn't even know how exactly she got her powers through the Tesseract, but she did, and yeah, that's interesting. And again, we see her watching sitcoms in all these flashbacks, which again is kind of interesting. But yeah, and then next after that, she so it's kind of like the sitcoms are a comfort thing for her that she's very familiar with. Um, and then the next flashback we see is Civil War, where she explains how she was in another country, she was confused, and it was the first time her and Vision connected. Vision explains, I've never dealt with grief, but he explains like he thinks grief is like a form of love working, which is a great quote he says in this episode. But I think that's really true, and I think that's kind of an interesting analysis of this character, and they have this connection. And she's also just still obviously remorsing Quicksilver's death. It's just that this is a really great way of showing all this stuff. I really enjoy this angle they're tackling it with. And yeah, just a really fun, I wouldn't say fun, but emotional scenes with her and Vision. And we don't see Darcy and any of these other characters throughout this whole episode. It's just Agnes and Wanda going through these flashbacks that we never saw, so they're technically new flashbacks, which is fascinating. Because it's making me like our main characters more, because before Wanda, she had depth, but her depth was kind of background depth. Like, I didn't really understand her. In the sense like, oh, she's a really tragic character. Like, now I understand her. Like, it's almost like she came into a room and started telling me about her pain and trying to help me understand. Like, that's what it feels like watching this episode. And I think that was a really great thing that went on. And then the last flashback is the interesting one. So Wanda comes up after Vision's dead body. Now Hayworth said she stole it. Right? She didn't. She did, but she didn't. So she went to Sword because she knew they had the body, and she said, "Look, I want his body for a funeral." Well, they're like, "This is millions of dollars of tech." Hayworth is clearly trying to do something with Vision, which I think it's clear he wanted to bring him back somehow. But anyways, she was manipulating Wanda into bringing him back, because she breaks down to see the body, and and he tells his soldiers don't shoot, and she takes his body, and then she creates a sitcom, which it's still not clear how she did it. It was an accident, like, but yeah, it's not clear why Agnes wants this, but it's clear we have two villains though. We have Hayworth and Agnes, who are, and at this point they're both manipulating Wanda in a sense, and that's what separates Wanda kind of from the villains, is she's being manipulated. Like, she didn't mean for any of this to happen. She did this all on accident, and she's frustrated about what's happening, and she's clearly just dealing with grief and doesn't know how to deal with it. Now, it doesn't. Now, she should be held accountable for these things to an extent. Like, she shouldn't just get away with it. Like, she did harm people. It's clear that she did. And it's clear that she was harming people, right? But it's still like, it's interesting character dynamics, and I can't wait to see what the next episode is. Yeah, and we see a little post-credit scene of Hayworth working on some kind of vision, which is really interesting. Some people are saying Vision has to die at the end of the show. I don't know if that's true. We will see. And then I heard there's going to be like a Luke Skywalker cameo at the end of this show. And I think that Luke Skywalker cameo, if it's going to happen, it's Doctor Strange. It's Doctor Strange. It's supposed to die. This show is supposed to tie into the next Doctor Strange movie. Why would it not be Doctor Strange? I mean, there's no other MCU character I could think of showing up in this show except Doctor Strange. That's all I can say. All I can say.